Someone looked at space, cold, empty, silent, and thought, perfect place for wind power. Wind turbines are designed to convert the movement of air into usable electricity. Space famously does not have air. It does have solar radiation, cosmic rays, and the occasional very confused satellite, but tragically, not a breeze. So putting a wind turbine in space is like bringing a fishing rod to a desert. You're technically allowed to do it, but no one's going to be impressed. Still, let's pretend you did it anyway. You got a Falcon Heavy, launched a full-sized General Electric Haliade X 13 megawatt turbine into low Earth orbit and pointed it proudly at the void. Let's see what happens next. Spoiler, it's not electricity. Wind turbines work because air moves. That's it. That's the big secret. When wind flows across the blades, it transfers kinetic energy. The blades spin, a shaft turns, and a generator converts the motion into electricity. It's elegant, efficient, and completely dependent on an atmosphere existing. Space, on the other hand, is many things. Vast, hostile, full of deadly radiation and broken dreams, but notably not full of air. In space, wind turbines would find themselves in the same situation as a lifeguard in the Sahara, trained, equipped, and utterly useless. Without wind, the blades don't spin. Without spinning, the generator doesn't turn. And without that, you've built a 13-ton kinetic sculpture in orbit, very expensive, very floaty, and very still. You could try spinning the blades manually, but at that point, you're just running a space hamster wheel. Which raises the question, why not skip the turbine entirely and just use the energy you were going to use to make the wind? Congratulations, you've just reinvented the space heater. Okay, no natural wind in space. But what if we made some? You bring tanks of compressed air, fire it past the blades, and spin the turbine manually. It works. Sort of. You're now powering a fan to power a wind turbine, which means you're losing energy to friction, heat, and basic physics. It's like pouring water into a cup just to pour it back into the same bottle. What about solar wind? Solar wind is plasma, charged particles from the sun, not air, not gentle, not helpful. Blades wouldn't spin, they'd just slowly erode or ionize. You haven't built a windmill, you've built a space cheese grater. So yes, you can simulate wind. But if your plan involves dragging giant fans and gas tanks into orbit, there's an easier solution. Just use solar panels. Let's say you still want space wind. Fine. Option 1. Wind tunnels in orbit. You build a sealed tube, pressurize it, and blow air past turbines. Congratulations, you've made a giant space hairdryer. It works until a micrometeorite pokes a hole and your wind escapes into the void. Option 2. Mount turbines on a spacecraft. You blast gas across the blades. The turbine spins, and so does your spacecraft. Newton's third law sends your station into a slow, nauseating pirouette. Option 3. Harness Earth's rotation. Tether turbines in orbit to the ground and try to use the speed difference to generate power. Technically impressive, practically a blender for satellites. In every case, the results are inefficient, dangerous, and, if nothing else, very exciting for space insurance companies. Wind turbines in space are a no-go, but space isn't short on power options. Solar panels work great. Constant sunlight, no atmosphere, no moving parts. That's why satellites use them instead of windmills. Solar sails catch photons, not air. They don't generate electricity, but they do push spacecraft. Slowly and silently. Even the International Space Station feels a whisper of atmospheric drag. But it's so weak it can't spin a pinwheel, let alone power anything. So yes, there is a kind of wind in space. No, you can't use it to run a turbine. And trying will mostly result in a lot of paperwork and possibly fire. Let's say you ignore physics, budgets, and several United Nations treaties, and launch 1,000 giant wind turbines into low Earth orbit. Each one is the size of a jetliner spinning at hundreds of RPM, circling the planet at 28,000 kilometers per hour. For a few glorious minutes, everything seems fine. Then a bolt from an old satellite hits a blade. One turbine shatters, its debris hits two more. They break apart, triggering a chain reaction known as the Kessler syndrome that turns your orbital wind farm into a high-speed field of flying shrapnel. You've wrapped the Earth in a cloud of turbine confetti moving faster than a bullet. Satellites go dark. GPS dies. The ISS initiates emergency evacuation. Everyone wants to know who approved Operation Space Blender, and if the turbines somehow survive, they eventually lose altitude and start re-entering Earth's atmosphere. Each one weighs over 100 tons. Burning fragments rain across continents. Insurance claims spike. Historians call it the day it rained windmills. And so, yes, you can technically put a wind turbine in space. It just won't work. Unless your goal was to make Earth's first orbital junk ring and then set it on fire. In that case, well done. But maybe it's worth it. For the breeze.